to meet that individual child's needs. So if they're acting out, as I say, if they're acting out, there's an underlying reason for it. So you have to be willing to take the time and work with that child and that family, because it's just not what happens in the classroom. You also have to be concerned about what's going on in the home. Not that you're being nosy and want to be all in their business,
Right.
but when there's different things that take place in the home, it will affect that child, and their behavior will shift. But if you have the heads up, if parents are honest enough, and they have to be comfortable enough with you to be able to share some of the personal business and trusting that that confidentiality is not going to be broken. But if I know that the mother and the father got into it last night and the police was called, when that child comes to school tomorrow, that child's behavior is going to be off the chain.
Absolutely.
But if you're comfortable enough, you don't even have to tell me. My parents know. They can send me a text. They have my cell phone number. So they usually will contact me before they contact the school, because I'm the one. They bring that child into the school. They bring that child into my classroom. So I'm the face they're going to see. I'm the one, again, that's dealing with that child, that I need to be able to understand why Tommy's acting out. Why he's being mean, why he's pushing everybody, why he's fighting, why he's yelling at somebody when this is normally not his disposition.
Right.
DJ, we have a question on the internet, so go ahead and propose the question, please.
What do you love most about teaching? What keeps you going in every day? What goals do you have for the kids in your classroom? Like, what is your heart in the classroom every day?
So 2 questions from you both. What do you love? What's your goals? What's in your heart? Callie, you go first.
I love the relationships that I build with the children and their families. I love watching them grow. I love seeing them when they come into my class, brand new 2-year-olds to where they're almost 3 or 3 heading out the door, like how much they've learned over that time. That's what I love, like seeing the growth in them. And again, the relationships that I build with their families. And part 2, what was part 2 of the question?
That was it.
That's pretty much it.
That was it. How about you?
For myself, I agree with everything that Kelly has shared. It's part of my ministry. I know only by the grace of God that I've been able to do what I do, as long as I've been able to do it. And have the patience, still have the love, the understanding, just that drive to continue to pour into these children. And as I said, it goes beyond these children. It's into their families as well. I consider myself religious, so I pray all the time. I go in my class, and even though I have many challenging behaviors this year, I go in and I set the atmosphere in my classroom. I do. I have to.
Praise Him.
Especially when if I have, like this summer, I have 14 boys and 3 girls. Woo! A lot of energy going on in that classroom. But when I found that their behaviors started to get a little next to me, I had to shift some things myself. So as I went into prayer, and you have to speak back into yourself and tell myself, you have the power. You can set this atmosphere. And I would go in the morning and I would anoint the crates. I would anoint where they sat. And I would pray, and then I would put on my music. And I dared anybody to say anything to me about what I was playing. I mean, you can come to me, and I try to be respectful. So when the families come in, I turn my music down. Kelly witness to this. I come in the morning, nobody there, it's on blast. And I'm getting my praise on, because I'm getting my mindset ready to be able to receive these kids. Again, not knowing what they're going to come in like. Are they going to come in their little happy, jolly, pleasant self? Or are they going to come in like somebody owed them something? They're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to come in displaying some of the behaviors that have taken place in their home. So you have to love doing what you do. You can't look at it as it's just a job and I'm just receiving a paycheck. Because these are precious lives that God has blessed to be here on this earth. And then He's blessed individuals like Kelly and myself to be able to love these children, to be able to embrace these children, be able to instill and pour into them all the things that we feel is necessary to move them from one developmental level to the next. And that's just our job.
Good.
She's a thermostat.
Yes,
You're a thermostat.
Yes, exactly.
You're not a thermometer, you're a thermostat.
The Bible talks about there's many members in the body. Okay, you have the hand, the arm, the foot, etc. So, my questions are always proposed. I'm looking at the big picture, but I'm just so grateful where you all are. That's why I'm going to ask another one of those big picture. I'm looking at, I meet with people weekly, daily. We're trying to find the root problem. So I was sharing with you that I've seen little children who learn the lyrics of every song on the radio without ever learning anything about our history. So when I see that, I'm definitely not a believer that they can't learn. That's when I process my stuff, and then I'm praying that I meet people like you all, because we got to be able to connect that. I feel there's a lot of distraction, okay? And these are keys to our self-destruction. And this is one reason why it's so easy to oppress people, because we must learn how to reject that I call entertainment first mentality. We got to get beyond the entertainment first mentality, always making our children enjoy something, but we got to learn some stuff. And so that's a major passion for me. And then listening to you just gives me so much excitement about the future of what we can do for our children, because they are our future. They're the ones that's going to be in charge, and we have a little business, and I see children all the time, and sometimes when I see a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, and just the thought that they're going to one day be somebody's father, somebody's mother, is frightening. But we got to start by making sure you all are taken care of. So Callie, after KCC, you ever thought about starting your own? Because there's a place for you, and who knows, we may see we can recruit your older teacher here, because I'm impressed with what I'm hearing. But do you have a passion for starting your own maybe one day, or do you? What happens if Eli Lilly calls you and offers you 6 figures? And you only make it $25,000.
Yeah.
You make it $25,000 because you say you love the children.
Yeah.
And Eli Lilly comes to offer you 6 figures.
I'm gonna consider it, because I'm raising a child too, so I want the best for him, and I have plans beyond KCC.
Okay.
And been working towards that, so definitely dreaming of bigger things.
Okay.
Good answer.
Yeah, that's very good answer. So let's go a little further into some areas that I am just, and I think you all can really be the answer. It will be horrible to think or to even admit that our children can't learn how to sit down and listen. But for some reason, Miss Sharon, I'm hearing all this terminology that our children need to be medicated because they can't sit still. Okay, what is going on? I mean, how do, and now we may be getting into the psychology and the counselors, and that may be another field, but I believe you're qualified by your own perception, and you also, how do a 2-year-old need to be medicated? I mean, what happened? He's only 2. He's only been out of the womb for 2 years. Why is he medicated to sit down? What is wrong?
I don't like to sit down for very long, so I don't expect my 2-year-olds when
Absolutely.
we do carpet time.
Absolutely.
Very short.
And I'm sorry to say this, but African American boys are not made that way. Now I know y'all African American instructors, but I don't know if everybody knows this, but all you Caucasian instructors, you half and half, all of y'all Caucasian instructors understand African American boys are not designed to sit down. That was never their culture. And you tell them to sit there for 5 hours, and now you give him some medication because he can't sit. That's a passion, y'all. Talk to me. Talk to me. I know. You got the lip twisted. Go ahead. What?
I feel like that's way too early to medicate a child. Yeah. I don't agree with that at all. Kids need to move. They need to have the opportunity to move, I guess. Sitting down, like I said, my 2-year-olds, we barely make it through a book some days. Just a short story book because they want to move. So we're singing songs and dancing to the songs that we're singing and run around. I don't know how long you guys sit, but I imagine it's not very long either because they make
Well,
them.
with my group, you have to remember, I am trying to prepare them for kindergarten.
Okay.
When they get to kindergarten, it's
That's
totally
5 or
different.
6
They
now?
have to, yes, they'll
That's 5.
be 5.
Okay.
Or going on 6.
Okay.
They are expected to sit for longer periods of time. So going back to your original question, when you know that these children are different types of learners.
Yeah.
So if I want you to sit down and I want you to journal in your book, but I notice you're antsy,
Yeah.
you keep moving, then I need to try and give you other strategies,
Yeah.
such as I might give you a what I call is like a bubble pillow, something, or either these round ones. I don't even know the name of it. You get it. I got it from my chiropractor.
Okay.
So it's like a disc where they can move. So again, I'm trying to prepare you for what they're going to be expecting you to do once you get in kindergarten.
Okay.
The playing that you do, they have an hour long. We call it work time. That won't exist when they get to kindergarten. So again, you have to gradually make that change. But again, it goes to knowing that individual child. So going back to the medication, I've never been very keen on medicating a young child. When I worked for Head Start, I saw children, it was just heartbreaking, brings tears to my eyes now. This bubbly little child that would run and hug me every day. And had so much to say, and then they put him on Ritalin, and then I saw him just do the reverse, and it was heartbreaking because I never even saw this child smile anymore. So now you have him controlled by medication. Again, I believe he was too young. And some children may need it, but if they do, then you need to start with the very, very minimum dose. But again, you have to know your child, and it goes back to that parent. If you see that your child's personality changed that much, that should show you this may not be for your child. But I think a lot of the testing that is done nowadays that ends up putting the children on medication, it comes from the parents. The parents go in. They're the one that's going into the doctor's office.
Because they're tired.
He can't do this. He can't do that. They don't have the patience.
They don't have the patience.
They don't have the understanding to understand. Developmentally, this is where my child is.
Right.
A 2-year-old cannot sit down.
Right.
And you sit here and don't you move, or you turn this television show on, and you sit there and you watch that.
Wow.
And don't get up. That's not them.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that age, they need to be moving. They're exploring. They're learning what their body can do, what their body can't do, trial and errors, consequences. If you jump off the couch, you may hurt yourself. But they have that need to want to develop those large muscles in their legs. I want to swing and I want to box. Those muscles in your arms. I want to scribble on the wall. I'm trying to develop my fine muscle skills, but you want to punish me because I wrote on the wall. Instead of understanding, these are developmental stages I have to go through as a child. So you don't want me to write on the wall. How about you give me something I can write on and let me just scribble. Because I'm going to need this when I go into any type of center setting, any type of early childhood education setting. These children need to have these skills. But when you just chop them off and they're punished, what are they going to learn?
It's true.
So, the word genocide, that's kind of frightening, all right? Killing of a large group of people. What about elementary genocide? Elementary genocide, whereas these educational attacks that's been thrust upon our children. Y'all, they're hurting them. Our kids are. And see, that's made, and again, I go back to saying my 2 children were not ever in the child care. But I'll tell you the secret. That's because we own our own child care by their mom. That's the only reason. Because somebody had to do it. But my wife was my children's teacher up until they came to the academy, and I became their teacher. And then when they end up going to the public school, I took my child to school every day. I'll never forget this. She's a 2nd grader, Miss Sharon. Young teacher like you. Nah, she was in her 20s. I used to carry her hand, take her to school, and I was doing this every day. And then one day she said, Mr. Smith, that's really unnecessary. And then one day she sat in front of my daughter, and my daughter got hot. And then I would have lunch with my daughter every day, too, by the way. Maybe I was overboard, but that's me. But you know what? That same teacher, years later, I saw her at Kroger's. We have Kroger's in Indiana. She had about 3 kids jumping out the cart. And she was like, Mr. Smith, I now understand. Because sometimes you can't even go by the book. I know there's a book that we have to learn and listen to, but there's some things. I am a firm believer that somebody that loved that child need to be with that child. And now we're praying that it's you. But I need the parents to understand that. We're praying it's you. And I know this sounds really bad, but there are certain politicians that we may not vote for, but we may agree to some things. And then there's some things government does. Now, Doug, you're familiar with what the Chinese people do in government regarding children. They allow you to have one child. Mm-hmm. Now, that seems very cruel, don't you?
It does.
That seems cruel, doesn't it?
It does.
But they don't want to repopulate.
Right.
But they're also saying they don't want these children, but they keep having them. No, we're not sitting here being the think tank. We're not trying to stop all of that. But isn't it amazing? Why keep having these children and you don't want to raise them? Now, I know y'all came here to talk about elementary, but what you think about that, Doug? What y'all think about that, Miss Sharon? Miss Callie? I mean, we're getting deep here. This is the kitchen table. Imagine some chicken. We eat some chicken, there go the hot sauce right there. So nobody listens to our conversation. What's up with all these folks having kids and then they want to give them medication?
I can answer that question, but I'm gonna let one of these women go first because I may not answer it the right way. I have my own, reason why I think it is, but I'd like to hear somebody else.
I mean, I have one child. I'd love to have more, but I know that where my life is at, it's not.
So you know.
Yeah.
But you're conscious of that.
Yeah. And I don't understand how, I know how we got here.
Yeah.
I know how to make sure it doesn't happen again until I want it to happen. So I don't know, I love being a mom. I love kids, obviously.
Give the right hand, because that was kind of goofy. There you go.
Yeah, but.
All right, good job. All right.
Some people say there's benefits.
Yeah, boom! See that? So now they're exploiting their own children. You said it too, by the way. I didn't say it. Okay. We got 10 minutes, y'all. So see how fast that went. Mm-hmm. How you feel about that? We got 10 minutes left, so we're about done. But go ahead.
You have to have some control.
Yeah.
You do. If you can love children, I've always wanted, as a child, said I want a lot of children. But as a child, I was babysitting children. My first nephews came into our home when I was 8. So I got a chance to have that real, I put down the baby dolls, I had that real baby.
Yeah.
So that love started developing back then. But I think nowadays, as Kelly has hit on, so many people, it's their mentality. They look at the fact, they have no self-control. That's what it is. They don't understand that I am having all these children, majority of them even out of wedlock. I am having all these children. The fathers are not in their lives. The burden is too big for myself, but yet and still I don't have the control to stop this behavior. Or it can even be a generation curse. Generation curse. So I don't know how to break this cycle. Instead of realizing I have the number of children that I can maintain right now. God only blessed me with 2 boys. I love them to death. I wanted a girl. I say, well, Lord, it wasn't your will, so be it. I'm grateful. They're healthy and they're fine. But yet and still, even though I wanted as a child this big family, life has its turns, different circumstances that affect us. So things shift in our own life. Again, it goes back to that control. Knowing what you can handle, what you can't. And if you realize I got these 3 kids and they working my last nerve, why would I go and have 3 more?
Well, she said some good things.
She really did.
About 7 minutes left, DG. Anything you want to say before I go to the closing?
I was going to answer it pretty much that way. There are some women that take advantage of the system. And then I think it's a combination of some of them being irresponsible and not having any control. Me and my daughter, we have frequent talks, my oldest daughter. She has 2 kids, Sky and Nasir, 2 beautiful grandchildren, 10 and 5. And we sit down and talk. So I learn a lot of things from her. She tells me a lot of things. She educates me on things that I don't know anything about, especially when it comes to women in her era, in her age group. And she does an excellent job with her kids, I will say that. And, you know, just going back and thinking about some of the conversations we've had here today, my 2 grandkids sit in church and they are quiet. You know, of course, Sky's 5 and Nasir's 10. And my daughter, like I say, she used threat management, you know, and she didn't have to, all she has to do is look at them. And they sit and they're good. Now, when they get home, it's a different story. They're a little bit more relaxed. But they're very good, like Grayson. They're very good in public. Now, my granddaughter couldn't do that, but she's a good kid, don't get me wrong. She's a very good kid. She's just very, very high strung and likes to get around and move around.
Well, that's good. And I wanted to add to that because the time is about up. And not just the young ladies, but the men has to quit just going around sowing the seeds, making babies. So it goes both ways. I hope this has helped us. Malcolm X once said, only a fool will allow the enemy to educate his children. I'm not going to call nobody the enemy, but I will say this. If they don't love your children, like these 2 women, then you need to reevaluate who watched your child. Because someone else is with your child, as you stated, longer than you. Listen, I am excited just to have had this wonderful group here. And I always end my show, our show, by acknowledging my ancestors, because I realize that I wouldn't be who I am without them. I always give honor to my mother parents, Leo Dale Perry Sr. and Ruby Elizabeth Perry, which is the parents of my mother, Mother Georgia Howard, who was alive and well. And also my father, who's gone, my grandfather, Edward West Smith, which I'm named after, and then my grandmother, Gussie Smith, and my father, late Hugh Daniel Smith Sr. We have to always, as a group, we have to have a globe and a map. We have to know where we are in time and in space. We have to know where we're going and what direction, how we're going to get there. And we get there by coming together like today. Wealth of knowledge and wealth of information. Hey, thank you for your service. I know that sounds like the military, but you guys you ladies are doing a powerful job, and you deserve more money. If I had a chance to just write a big check, I would, because what you all do is what makes the doctors, the lawyers, the professors. It's what you all do. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We thank you for these 2 wonderful people, Sister Sharon and Sister Callie, my co-host, Doug Jones. God, inspire them. Give them the insight. Give them the vision. And Callie, while she's young and excited, Lord, give her a mindset to maybe produce something that's never been done before. Give her the creativity. And thank you for the service that Sharon has given by just all the years, almost 30 years of saving and helping and raising other people's children. Bless her, my co-host, and all those involved on the talk show, my staff, my producers, everyone, and the city of Battle Creek. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Sharon, you was on it, girl. You wasn't nervous at all. She was doing her thing, wasn't she, y'all?
Yeah.
Boy.
Went fast, didn't it?
She like a pro. She was.
Wake up, everybody. Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up.
you.